Right, I believe that we are live. We are here on LinkedIn and YouTube, and welcome back, everyone, to 5 More Minutes Live. I am Candace from 5 Minute Career Hack, your pivot master and your career wellness strategist. And I'm so excited for an opportunity to spend just a little bit more time from our guest from our most recent episode. Mr. Mike Trevino from Higher Up Staffing is with us today. And listen, he is bringing a wealth of expertise in the world of hiring and staffing. And he's back again to share valuable insights on mastering job interviews. So get ready today because this is going to be packed with knowledge, insight, and just ways to build your confidence in the new era of interviewing. So, Mike, welcome back, and I
Mm.
appreciate you joining me again.
Hello, Candace. I appreciate you having me again, and
Yeah,
it was really fun doing, the first podcast with you. So, yeah, I'm happy to be back.
yeah,
Mhm.
absolutely, absolutely. And I love to share. I think I shared this in the beginning of the episode, which, by the way, if you haven't already watched the episode, everybody who's watching today, please go to. We're available on YouTube. It's available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, everywhere where podcasts are available. This episode with Mike Trevino on mastering interviews is available. We're going to give you a little bit of it here today, but you get the full treat if you tune into the episode. And it was just a dynamic display of mastery when it comes to you not finding your dream job. I think we talked about this in the interview, but finding your career purpose. And so definitely check that episode out. But I want to share this story and that I talked about as well of how Mike and I actually met one another. So we were at a DECA event. And for those of you who don't know what DECA is, that is the Diversity Equity Chamber Alliance. And we were there as small businesses. And they had these group round tables, I guess is what you call it. And Mike and I were like firing off questions because we were like inquisitive, right? Like we're interviewers and we are coaches as well. So we were so inquisitive. And I just noticed his energy and was listening to him. And I was like, he's somebody who I want to interview. And the reason why I like to share that story is because we talk about interviewing in such a formal context, right? Of, what are you going to wear? What are you going to say? How are you going to be prepared? Those are all necessities, right? When it comes to interviewing, but don't escape the understanding that interviews are conversations. They are
Mhm.
connections with people, right? And so just a conversation and a connection that Mike and I made at the DECA event led us to where we are today with the podcast episode released. And then back today for 5 More Minutes Live, where we are going to share just at least one. He might drop a couple gems on you all, but at least one additional hack that's going to help you land your career purpose. But again, Mike, I'm blessed and excited to be in partnership with you and just to continue to learn and share with our communities with you.
Yes, and I think that's so, since we've met each other, we've even expanded our networks, and I think that's, even
It's good.
more of a thing that we want to continue to do. So we talked a lot in our podcast about being resources, but I think too, like you and I had met and really had not even thought about any of the conversations we had, but we went many different places because we were learning about so much at the DECA event, and we wanted to learn more. So you stood out to me as well because she was in the second row, asked the first couple of questions. So yeah, I think that's uh, a good trait that we both recognize from each other is, um, find out, ask questions, see, what you can learn. So I
Yeah.
like that a lot.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. So I think we recorded this a while back, right? And you know, have we had a very authentic conversation. So and I took so much away from it, but going back And listening to the episode when it dropped this Monday, I was like, wow, that
Yeah.
was like so powerful. And I was
Mhm.
amazed, some language changes that I had in there, going from find your dream job to your career purpose,
Yes.
being mindful in interviews,
Yeah.
how to be confident. I had so many different reactions to the conversation. And I love for you, before we hop into our premiere question, is tell me kind
Mhm.
of what your reaction was. Did you have a different takeaway when you listen back to it than you did when we first recorded the episode?
So I think, like you, we had talked about so much, and uh, weeks have gone by, and I think I was really trying to touch upon as many hacks that we could give in an episode, and um, you kept me on track, and we're asking great questions about things that everyday people can use and learn about. So I was impressed with just our way, and it was storytelling too. It almost felt like, because we had had so many experiences. I know, in our industry, being able to share those stories, though, I think that was one of the things we did. And we dropped some nuggets in there. There were some really good things we delivered. And, of course, the most important is starting with yourself. So, did you wake up with the purpose today,
Mm,
Candace?
good question. I did, Mike. You know I did. I'm here for the 5-minute career hack, and I'm here to help everyone in my community pivot
Yeah.
in their company, their career, and their confidence. I think that's such a great question, that and a challenge. I don't know. We didn't plan any of this conversation, by the way, but I think it's a great challenge and
Mm-mm.
a charge to those who are watching, to remember
Mm-hmm.
and constantly revisit your purpose every day. And are your career moves, your career pivots, your interview energy, is it aligned with that purpose? So
Yeah.
good.
And what happens accidentally,
Hmm. Yep.
for very good, people to come together and companies to join and, share information to everyone who needs to hear it. So, yeah,
Yeah.
I I
Yeah.
I like that.
Yes. No, it's the same here. And I know you said something that's going to help me segue into that premier question I talked about. So you said we shared as many hacks as we could in that short amount of time. And my aim, I talk about this every single live, is like, they tell me to do 25 minutes, and I like to go deep. So this one actually
Mhm.
went probably about 30 something minutes, and I know, because we are thought leaders and because we are human beings as well, like, we sometimes can find ourselves in a place where we're so present that we're not conscious of the time, but also we're never going to be able to share anything and everything in one episode. So I know that
Mhm.
going in is like, I got 10 points and I might only be able to hit 3, right? Because of the time. But
Mhm.
I think that the
Yeah.
episode added value. But I'm super interested in that, if I had given you 5 more minutes on the day that we were in the higher up office, if I had given you 5 more minutes to share a hack that was going to change the game for operating in this new world, not the 1999 or even the 2019 version of interviewing, but if there was a
Yes.
hack that would help people excel in today's world of interviews, what would you have shared with us in 5 more minutes?
Yeah, I think we got into a lot of kind of the inside of the your own personal space, and um, I think the next thing is that I would have talked about is uh, your appearance on interviews, on site, or on Zoom calls, how to hack those kind of things so that, the present day, we're much more relaxed than my parents and probably their parents before them. And I think we've all gotten really comfortable with that. And you see it in a lot of major companies. But when we're talking about first impressions, there are a couple of things to do, and it's based on your appearance. So you got your inside, kind of dusted off and, touched up. And
Right.
so now you've got to get the outside to, um, you know, present what you've got on the inside.
Love it.
Mhm.
So talk about some ways, or if I'm the person that's interviewing, and yes, to your point, I've done the inner work, or maybe they haven't, but maybe they've done the inner work, and now you want
Mhm.
that confidence to show on your outside appearance and
Mhm.
the way that you're presenting yourself, your body language. And
Mhm.
before you answer, I want to share just a quick stat that may, I hope, guide some of the conversation. So, like I said, this is not 1999, nor is it 2019. um,
Mhm.
pre- Pre-pandemic, 79% of first stage interviews were conducted in person, right?
Mhm.
um, Post-pandemic, that's dropped down to 17%, right? So these interviews are happening also virtually. And so
Yeah.
now there's a balance where that confidence, that inner work, that you being able to articulate your skills, you've got to master that while also mastering grabbing the person's attention, getting them to like your professionalism, to your point in the episode.
Mhm.
You've got to master that in a virtual setting, which maybe
Mhm.
one can think that it's easy because you're at home, maybe in your pajama pants with the suit jacket on, so you think you're more comfortable. But there are some nuances that I hope that you'll share in regards to how that can come through in the virtual settings, given the
Mhm.
shift that we've experienced over the last few years with interview settings.
Yes. So I, think that it's very important to know how to use any sort of um, apps. We're using a different one than we use for our original podcast. So, making sure ahead of time that all of that is up and running so that, when you do go into that virtual interview, you're not um, sidetracked because you were trying to log in and you had a hard time doing it, and now you're a little bit, your feathers are ruffled and you've got to calm yourself back down. So being able to have access when you need it, and then also give some allowance if it is, delayed. I think that's a common thing because some people's, for whatever reason, crashes or you have a new update. So, I think that's important to, give some leeway too. I would say if it's you going into a job interview, make sure that, you're a couple minutes earlier if you can manage your time that way. I think that's pretty key. And then the other thing is, let me just do a quick little, oh. So, this gives a much different look, to how I'm utilizing the camera, how I'm utilizing my space, um, the lighting as well, but positioning yourself into a place where you feel comfortable, taking up the center, not cutting off your head. Let me give you some examples of interviews I've had. Hi, my name is Mike, and I'm scheduling. Oh, I'm sorry. Could you fix your camera? Sure. Is that better? Okay. Yeah.
I
Hi, I'm
love it.
Mike. And
Visual.
and they conduct the interview like that. So, make sure you're taking up most of the frame. Um, Lighting is key. Can I do my other little thing?
Oh,
So,
absolutely. Go ahead.
lighting. Okay, so lighting, and then verse, you know,
Mm.
lighting. Can you see that it's not really giving you a good visual, so people don't have to try to wonder what cave you're in, so you want to make sure that your lighting is either natural or you've got some lights that are working with you, and then try to relax by the time it starts, and that your lighting and your camera and your angle is all good, so you can really get into those skills that you want to share.
Yeah. No, I love a good visual. I mean, that was the most practical way, I believe, to show that was to give the example of what it should look like. And just to I think so I'm gonna recap the tips real quick and then I'm gonna share something that kind of hit me while you were talking. Um, but logging in early. And
Mhm.
you can share how many minutes early do you recommend that someone logs in before an interview to make sure that they got their technology in order? I know it may be different for everybody, but if you had to give a general,
Mhm.
hey, this is how many minutes you log in before the interview if it's a virtual interview.
Yeah, I always like for my own personal self, about 10 minutes, so that I don't necessarily have to have my camera or my microphone on, but at least I'm in there, checking some other things that need to be done for the day. And if it's an interview where someone has to let you in. It's
Hmm.
maybe like 2 or 3 minutes,
Hmm.
because uh, you're you're waiting for the potential employer to start the meeting, and
Yeah.
then that goes back to keeping things in mind, because you're 2 or 3 minutes early. You're not that worried that potentially they're experiencing some difficulties that are making them, 2 or 3 minutes late.
Right.
And so I think just enough time to make sure everything's working properly, make sure your mics, your lighting, all of that. If it's something that is on site, I definitely would say 10 minutes, get there 10 minutes so that, you don't know if you have to walk up to a building, and the walk's 10 minutes away. So you'll be on time. But if you know, didn't manage that time, you're going to be a couple minutes late. And for me and my perspective with, the clients that I'm working with, that's a telltale sign where, you know, the first interview, they
Yeah.
weren't able
Yeah. That
to
first
get
impression.
there. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it just says something. Hmm.
Yeah, no, I agree 100%. And I think what I would add to that is the 10 minutes. If so, let's go to the virtual setting. That 10 minutes, I think, applies if you are already technologically savvy, right? Because that
Hmm.
way, just in case something that you didn't expect happens, then you are prepared. But if you know that you struggle with technology or sometimes your computer just starts to act funny randomly,
Hmm.
feel free to, cater that time limit to what your circumstance and your skill level with technology is. And
Yes.
same thing for in person. Like if you're going to an environment for an interview that you are unfamiliar with or an area or geography that you have never been before or you don't or the instructions in the interview didn't say you got to walk up these stairs and you got to do these things and park here. If they didn't give you that insight prior to, again, that 30 minutes also is going to give you time and leave room for error as well. So that would
Yeah.
be the only thing that I'd add to that is to cater it to your understanding and your skill level when it comes to technology and your ability. I'm geographically challenged, so I got to go places 30 minutes early because I'm gonna get lost. Number
Yeah,
one,
that's
I want to be able to get
mhm.
up the stairs and get the sweat off my face. I'm just being real here because I need to
That's
cool
good.
down and take my time to breathe before I get there. So I know I've
Yes.
got to do it 30 minutes early if it's something like that.
Yes, and for me personally, since we're sharing how we are, if I am, like still a minute early for some reason, it just really it puts me in a different kind of, mood, and I know myself, and how I like to, enter a building, and I don't want to run upstairs and then wipe off sweat and, you know. Uh, I would rather, just walk in and be able to
Yeah.
sit and wait, and but that's my kind of thing. And then reminders too, because so many people are interviewing with different companies, and
Yep.
um, so if you have that in your calendar or your phone or written down, making sure that, hi, this is Jeff with uh, so and so's company, and then your next day you have a meeting with Tom from Texas government, so being able to keep those in order, because some of the times we get those candidates. Now,
Those
who is this
countless.
with, and what position is this for?
Oh
So
goodness.
so you have to remind them,
God.
but keep those ones, in a place where you can access it, and and you know what the role is and what it's about and how to talk, and so there's lots of hacks there. So after you
Yeah.
get there on time, before time, that's something else to really excuse me, to deliver, just accessing your information once you
Yeah.
get there,
Yep.
um, and then being able to share it,
Yeah.
showcase the skills. And if you can get there on time, you're not nervous, so you just still are in that place, or for me, I get fidgety if I'm late because I'm, you know, letting my letting myself down
You're less
first,
present. Yeah, you're
and
less present
yeah.
too.
So, and I think that's what I have on that. What do you
Yeah,
think?
yeah, no, that was good. I appreciate the ad there. And then I love, again, I love the visuals. But I think that was probably one of the best displays of how it should look, especially when it's virtual. And everybody is not Jamila Brown who can tell you exactly where to put your lighting. So you could,
That's
because
right.
I didn't share this part of the interview, but she was pulling us all together on the day that we did our podcast of making sure that we had all things in place, and everybody doesn't have that level of expertise. And so just to be able to see what you just displayed there of putting the
Yeah.
light in front of you versus
Mhm.
behind you, your position in the camera. What I was seeing when you were doing that was I feel more connected to Mike because he seems at attention. I can clearly see his face. You were smiling. I don't even know if you knew. You do have just that body language. Lighting, it seems like small things, but your lighting and your position in the camera really is a catalyst for that connection. And when it's off, they're going to struggle to connect with you and you're going to struggle to connect with them as well. It kind of is equivalent to you being in an interview. Like if I was right now, like slouched down, right? Like I don't look confident. It's the same thing. If you're not sitting up straight
Yes.
in your chair, if your lighting is not right,
Mhm.
you're not exuding the confidence that you want to come
Yeah.
across in an interview. Or if you're fidgeting your thumbs or tapping your pen, it's kind of the same thing, right? So I love
Yeah.
that you
Or
illustrated that for us.
or how's that?
So what did
It's
you tell me what you did
it,
there?
so you can see now what I'm, doing. I'm kind of really comfortable,
Yeah.
and sitting there, but I'm just pulling you back,
Man, that's good. That's good.
and I'm in my position that I feel comfortable in, but it's accessing the part of, you know, me that's going to be more effective,
Yeah.
than this sort of interview that, has got me hunched over a little
Yeah.
bit,
Yep.
but, placement is everything, and
Yeah.
everyone can do it. I think the big thing for me that I see is just so much of this.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Poor
and
positioning.
sometimes and sometimes even this. Wait, let
Yeah.
me see if I can get it.
Oh wow. So
And
that's
they
what
will
we're seeing.
literally they will have an interview like that,
Oh wow.
and have so those are things that people can correct so easily, and make sure, that if it's what we're talking about, jobs that, hopefully are going to meet your purpose, so these
Mm,
are going to be positions that are going to fill your cup and not empty it.
mm,
And
mm.
if you're just, like trying to find a position because you need work, you got to give me and Candace a call so that we can, get into what's the real goals, where do you want to be, what are the actions, because we love actions, are you going to be able to take to, make those changes. And um, the thing I loved about our podcast is, we are those people that, are going to be able to give some information that is going to be helpful, some resources where you need it. These kind of talks are just the start, but for each person, you're on, your own journey. But if you're just having a job for a couple of months, do you have your purpose? Is that your to look for another job and then do another 3 months, and then that's where some people have gotten themselves, because the
Good que-
expectation is outside and it's not starting from inside. You know, what do you want to do? Where do you want to start? What's the place
Yeah,
you want to be at? Those kind of things are what you and I can help with, and
absolutely.
hopefully, go through it so you feel like, things are, working in your favor.
Yeah, yeah. What I think you were doing there is trying to tee us up for what maybe a part two would look like, because I think that is, I think I used the word interview energy earlier, but when the job or the company, when you're not 100% sure that it's aligned with your career purpose, that comes across in the way that you are interviewing. It comes across in your energy. It comes across in your ability to articulate your thoughts. It comes across as, just lack of confidence, when it's not aligned with your purpose. So I know we don't have time to talk about that today. I almost wish that was what we had chatted about. However,
Yeah.
I think you just teed us up for what maybe another
Okay.
live or another episode may be about, because
I.
that is probably the reason why, not just the pandemic, but the reason why
Mhm.
there are 50% plus, because I see different statistics out there, but the lowest I see, and I'm going to choose that one,
Mhm.
50% plus people are looking to change careers and jobs right now since the pandemic. And
Mhm.
a lot of that is because there is no clarity and purpose. They're not executing a vision or a set of goals, and just not able to even define that so they can go out and look for that job that's aligned with that purpose. So I appreciate you mentioning that,
Mhm.
because I think there's some more deep work and conversation that is
I'm
necessary for us to unpack.
I am totally up for it. So,
Love it.
just
Love it.
let me know when, because I think, what we're doing is we're laying little breadcrumbs, and, these things are, something to share, because um, that information is vital. And I think things that we talked about today, with virtual interviews, on-site interviews. Those are some things most people know,
Hmm.
and then your day starts, and then something happens, and then, there you are. So we want to make sure that we think about those things that may happen, and then also plan for them to maybe happen. And if they don't, you're there in a decent time that you feel like you can get on virtual interview or in on-site interview, and put your best foot forward and
Yeah.
use some of the tips we're given and crush it, kill it, go.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
dare you. I dare you to do it.
Come on. Mike put a dare out there. I love it. So I know we're out of time, and I do want to, because you mentioned in the episode, practice.
Mhm.
I think I even repeated it and said practice, practice, practice. And so I love
Mm.
the visuals you
Yeah.
gave today, the insight you gave today. And what I want to leave us with is, you don't want to find out the challenges of virtual interviews for the first
Mm.
time in the virtual interview, right? So if you need to practice the lighting thing that Mike just displayed for you,
Mhm.
practice, practice sitting, turn on Zoom and record yourself. Notice your body language. Ask a
Hmm.
friend to hop on with you to help you. Like you have
Yep.
to practice these things because, and that's if you're not comfortable, because I'd be very comfortable with it, obviously, now because I do this, right? But if it was my first time, then I
Yeah.
probably wouldn't be as comfortable. And not that I wouldn't learn from a misstep, but that's to your point why we're here to give you those things in advance that can help you exude the confidence that you need in these interviews. So
Yeah.
definitely practice if this is not your jam to be doing
Yeah.
online interviews so that you can make sure that that's not something that is showing up in your body language in a way that you're articulating your thoughts during the interview.
Right.
Yep.
Set yourself up to be your whole self instead of
Yes.
that,
Whole self.
person that was distracted because something came up.
Love it.
So that, yeah, practice that. It's a
Yes.
thing.
Yes. Love it. Love it. Well, Mike, again, I do greatly appreciate you for joining us
Thank.
for live for 5 more minutes. And I
Mhm.
definitely look forward to continuing our partnership, continuing to
Yeah.
share alongside you. Like I said, to learn from you as well. And I'm gonna wrap us up with something that I decided that I was gonna do every episode, and I want to stay true to that because, to your
Mhm.
point, it's the inner work, it's our thoughts, it's
Yeah.
our mindfulness that allows us to be our best selves, our whole selves, to your point, in these
Yeah.
professional settings. And so I like to share just a few affirmations with everyone watching that you can use, whether it's you're interviewing or you're about to have that, you're about to go to the summit, like where Mike and I met, where you get to slow yourself down and be with yourself and make some declarations that help give you more confidence, clarity, and purpose. So I'm going to share a few affirmations for everyone, and then we will be good to go. So here's the first one, and everybody just quiet your mind to receive. I exude confidence knowing that I am well prepared and capable. I'm going to read that one again. I exude confidence knowing that I'm well prepared and capable. My qualifications and experience make me a standout candidate. I embrace interview challenges as opportunities to shine.
Excellent.
Confidence. Come on, you just let me say it again. I embrace
Okay.
interview challenges as opportunities to shine. And lastly, I trust in my abilities and present myself with poise. And that poise comes
Mhm.
through in those camera angles too, by the way. So, Mike, again, I
So
appreciate you
good.
so much. And I
Thanks for
definitely look
sharing
forward.
those. Those
Yes,
were great.
absolutely.
Those are good.
Absolutely. And for those of you all who have not seen the episode
Mhm.
already, I hope that this conversation inspires you to go over to either YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Audible, Amazon. You just go iHeartRadio, go and take a look and listen, or go listen or take a look on YouTube at this dynamic episode with Mike Trevino. And Mike, I'm
Mhm.
so grateful for you. Thank you.
Thank you, Candace. We'll
Yes.
see you soon.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Take care, everyone.